I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. I'll interview with any team at any time. I've been ready, I'm staying ready, and I'll continue to be ready.
The NFL says 25 teams showed up at the Atlanta Falcons training facility for that scheduled workout. Then his plans suddenly changed. Just 8 teams made their way to this high school football field. Colin Kaepernick's agent telling us after the workout, the quarterback talked to all 8 of those staffers and told them he'd love to visit their facilities and answer any further questions they may have.
Colin Kaepernick, a one-time $100 million quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, with a Super Bowl appearance, and was thought to be the future of the new NFL dual-threat quarterback. But life quickly changed for Colin in the past 3 years fighting with the NFL. What was the legal battle about? Why has Colin waited 3 years to play in the NFL while still being better than most current backup quarterbacks? Will Colin ever play again? Let's take a look back in the last 3 years, which was filled with political drama in the National Football League. Hello, and welcome to Sports Vaults, presented by D.A.T.A Productions, uncovering the untold, lost, and forgotten files of the sports world. Kaepernick began sitting during the national anthem at the start of the 2016 NFL preseason. This protest went unnoticed for 2 weeks before he was questioned by the media.
To me, this is something that has to change, and when there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand. I'm seeing things happen to people that don't have a voice, people that don't have a platform to talk and have their voices heard and affect change.
On September 1st, 2016, Kaepernick opted to kneel during the national anthem. Eric Reed joined Kaepernick in kneeling during that final preseason game.
Taking a knee was sort of born out of compromise. I wanted him to stand. Through our conversation, through listening and respecting one another, he agreed to take a knee.
In week 1 of the 2016 season, the movement was in full swing. NFL players across the league were taking this opportunity to express their feelings. This movement got so big, athletes in high school and college started to take part in the protest.
Is not one that you should be having against the flag, against the national anthem.
It's not a protest against the military, it's a protest about inequality in this country.
I understand the freedom of speech, but also this is the players' jobs, and I don't get to speak freely at my job all the time, so they should have to follow the rules and respect our country and our flag.
We did it peacefully, so not everybody's going to agree with it, but this is America.
I wish they would leave the whole political side of taking a knee or not taking a knee, staying in the tunnel, coming out of the tunnel. I wish they would leave that part of the political side out of it.
My dad actually was a gunny in the Marine Corps, so he fought for this country. And, one of the things that he taught me is that, he went over there to fight for this country, for our freedom. And part of that is our freedom of speech.
Later in December, Kaepernick was benched by Chip Kelly for poor play. The $100 million quarterback then opts out of his deal, though GM John Lynch said he was going to cut him anyway. The 2016 season was the last time we would see Colin Kaepernick on a team, and possibly forever, but his presence still will be felt way after his last snap. Now, for his original counterpart, Eric Reed, was also out of the league, potentially being blackballed just like Colin, even though his talents were still performing at a high level. So they both filed a grievance lawsuit of collusion against the NFL and its owners.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired.
If we are disrespecting the flag, then we won't play, period. You probably remember 2 weeks ago, the entire team, including Jones himself, took a knee before the national anthem in Arizona, but then they all did this. They stood up during the anthem and locked arms.
The whole conversation was barely about football. It was about taking a knee and your stance. But when you think about it, history repeats itself in different ways. The ancient Romans used the Colosseum Games to promote the military, in the hopes that the young boys watching would want to join the military to live out their dream as a gladiator. With the NFL supporting the U.S. military so much, especially after 9/11 and fallen NFL soldier Pat Tillman, patriotism has been an important part of the aura of football, which is the modern-day gladiatorial game. But like most things, tension settled back down. By the end of the year, business was back to usual. especially so in 2018. Colin was still on the sidelines wanting back in the NFL. While sympathetic and supportive of Kaepernick's fight to secure employment through a grievance he filed against the league, the players still thought the focus should remain on the bigger picture. In 2006, Roger Goodell spoke to University of California, Berkeley professor and longtime 49ers advisor Harry Edwards, a respected sociologist and civil activist who is widely regarded as the forefather of athlete activism.
And one of the big challenges that I had was convincing even the people at Cornell that sport was worth looking at, that despite 105 years of sociology, a major institution, an increasingly important institution, had been overlooked and bypassed, mostly out of academic arrogance.
With his talks with Goodell, he prophetically cautioned the cultural shift that was taking place in NFL locker rooms. Increasingly, athletes would be viewed as the game's stars.
So what's the next step for modern day athletes in what you call the struggle?
Now the thing is power, and the issue becomes for them, how do we frame it up so that we can move forward and make our contribution? Right now, Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers, a team that I've been with for 31 years, is the face of that effort. We have a lot of work to do in terms of trying to figure out exactly where this is going to end up in terms of the framing. This movement in athletics going back to the pre-World War II years, he's aware of that. More than anything else, I try to answer his questions and to put everything in perspective and give him a broader handle on exactly where he is and what he's involved in, and as much as anything else, the price, the cost of what he is doing.
Owners were uneasy, sponsors were uneasy, and fans on both sides of the issue were upset. Some promised to boycott the NFL until the players stood, while others pledged to boycott games until Kaepernick had a job. A message about police brutality and oppression had been co-opted into a discussion about respect, or lack thereof, for law enforcement, then the military, then free speech, and finally, patriotism. This 3-year altercation with Kaepernick, NFL owners, and spectators split former friends and families over opinions.
Today, it shocks everybody. They had a settlement. The terms are undisclosed and confidential. Right. It's blatantly obvious that he was not in the league for one reason and one reason only.
Because of his peaceful protest against police brutality.
Right.
And that's it.
Days after Eric Reid just signed a 3-year, $22 million deal with the Carolina Panthers, some reports came out saying the two players settled for around $10 million, a lot less than previously thought. With this settlement, Kaepernick's NFL days are most likely over.
Justice and liberty dies in the dark.
Whatever the outcome, I feel like Cap came out on top.
They took a lot of people, a lot of young kids down the wrong hole by selling out your message.
Being a critic of those inequalities does not make you a non-patriot.
Jay-Z claimed to be a supporter of Colin, told people not to perform at the Super Bowl because of the treatment that the NFL did to Colin. Now he's going to be a part owner. And
the NFL reached an agreement with rapper Jay-Z's entertainment company Roc Nation to advise the league on entertainment offerings like the Super Bowl halftime show. The deal also puts the company in charge of amplifying the league's social justice program called Inspire Change.
I think we passed kneeling. Everyone knows what the issue is. I'm not minimizing that part of it because that has to happen. That's a necessary part of the process. How are you going forward and Cap doesn't have a job? This wasn't about him having a job.
It's kind of despicable.
Do you believe that that was the last best chance that he winds up playing again?
Yes.
I do. I hope they don't do that because I'm rooting for Colin Kaepernick, and I personally think that he has gotten incredibly bad advice. But nevertheless, because of the position that he put himself in, we have to bring it home and recognize the fact that in America, anywhere, I might add, if an employer is talked about that way by a potential employee, not an employee, but a potential employee, somebody who's trying to get in as opposed to already being in, you talk about me that way, bye. Go get a job. Why don't you go to CFL?
Even though Colin is 99.9% never playing in the NFL again after this last botched event, in which blame should be laid on both sides, we should not forget Colin's real goal at hand in the first place. What's your take on this topic? Did you enjoy this story? Let me know your thoughts below in the comments and subscribe for more investigation content like this. This was Sports Vaults, presented by D.A.T.A Productions. See you next time.